Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. And it's freedomthroughastrology.com. I'm your astrologer. My name is Donald Patak. There's my contact information. Standard YouTube copyright, except that no, my content may not be used to train AI. And I apologize for this being late. It's been a day of technical difficulties, and I kind of messed up my hand with some firewood. So just don't in the weekend I was supposed to attend a funeral for a student that passed on, but I had a brutal migraine Friday night into Saturday and Sunday morning. So I was hoping to get this out yesterday, but life doesn't permit some things. Keys to the reading. I read using constellation-based astrology, sometimes called true sidereal astrology. What is that? Astrology by the visible sky, also called astrology by astronomy. Tropical astrology fixed the signs to seasons, the way they were over around 1800 years ago. Now, in addition to the planets moving, the constellations move very slowly. That's how we get our astrological ages. So I practice astrology by the visible sky. And with that, using the zodiac belt between Scorpio and Sagittarius is another sign. It's a missing sign called a fucus. And the symbol is of a person holding a snake by the head and tail. And snake in ancient times symbolized knowledge. So you're controlling knowledge, using knowledge, and according to the mythos, to heal himself so he could heal others with similar wounds. I could use some healing on this hand. So I do include the missing sign, and I use the natural size of the signs. Some astrologers make each sign the same size. Mother Nature, in her wisdom, made them all different sizes. Virgo, as we shall see this week, is incredibly huge, as is our number of other ones. And Scorpio, Libra, Cancer, Aries, Fucus, individually, they're each less than 25 degrees. Constellations are all different sizes. I respect that. And I use astrological midpoints because the IAU boundaries are arbitrarily drawn. Athen Shimenti, one of my teachers, brought this to the forefront when he was zooming in on an IAU boundary and noticed stars from Scorpio being included in the constellation of Ophiuchus. They should be read in Scorpio. So he looked at the zodiac belt, last bright stars of Scorpio, first bright stars of Ophiuchus. What's the halfway point? Works pretty well. I like it, feels more accurate. Keys to reading part 2. I interpret using evolutionary astrology, which means that the planets, the signs, houses are all teachers and that there are lessons to learn. And in that, you have freedom of choice. You can choose. Are you going to learn the lesson? Are you not going to learn the lesson? How do you want to work with the opportunity? So it recognizes that. And this is the weekly edition. So these are universal lessons. So have some compassion on your fellow Earth travelers. Dates and times are based on the Eastern U.S. time zone, as I do live outside of Buffalo, New York. It is a little chilly here in this room. And I'm operating within 1 degree of exact because if it goes greater than that, I can be overwhelmed. And if I'm overwhelmed, you're lost. And the software I'm using is a licensed copy of Capricorn by Prometheus. So this is the weekly transits for the week of March 2nd through 8th, 2026. The sun is still in Aquarius. You'll hear people saying Pisces. Nah, not there yet. So we're in Aquarius, learning to be independent and authentic. Look to your natal sun sign. And then what does that mean to you personally? Not what everyone else says. You read it, you decide for yourself. The moon is actually very steady this week. I mean, it starts in Leo, goes into Virgo. We spend a long track in Virgo and ends in Libra. So we have a very stable moon, and that includes having the full moon eclipse on Tuesday, which will be an interesting experience in and of itself. So stable emotional state, soul learning, good thing. Our active planets for the week are the Sun and Venus. Those two have the most transits to them, or making the most transits, I should say, or aspects. So look for lessons on your individuality, your core identity, who you are at heart, and also your ability to relate to other people. Venus is also your creativity. And also, when do you need to take a break? Seriously. We do have a sign change. Mercury retrogrades back into Aquarius. Some lessons to learn there still. How are you learning? Are you learning what you really want to learn? Is what you're learning authentic to you? And the other side of the coin, are you communicating your own truths? We are finishing up the long transit of Saturn and Neptune, and our retrograde parade is actually very short. It's Jupiter and Mercury, and Jupiter will be leaving, I believe, next week. Will be Jupiter going station direct. So this list is going to get shorter. I'm going to pull myself down here into the corner. Doodle pen. Wonderful. So this is our week. And if we look at it just overall, starting right here at the top with the moon, you can see the moon begins in Leo, Wednesday morning into Virgo, nice long stretch. This actually belongs on Sunday morning. I messed up when I made the graphic and trying to edit it and make everything look nice. It looked horrible. So the doodle works better. So Libra actually is Sunday morning. That's an error on my part. Nobody's perfect. Just shoot for good enough. We do have the full moon eclipse on Tuesday morning. So if you get up in the morning and you're in the United States or Northern Turtle Island, North America, whatever you want to call it, I'm curious, what is the indigenous name for South America? Okay, tangent's over. So if you're on Turtle Island and you're up early in the morning, you will be able to see some element of the eclipse. West Coast will have the best view. East Coast will get a partial. But even so, I mean, the moon, very stable. Let me clean that part of the doodle out. And then this dotted line, anything above it is from last week. Anything below it is this week. And you can see that long transit is over on Wednesday of Saturn and Neptune. But down here, I'll just do it this way. These are the sun transits of the sun. There's 3 of them. You do have that eclipse, very powerful, which is the sun conjunct the north node. It's the only way an eclipse can happen. And opposite the south node as well. But that's the moon. That's a lunar thing, but stick it in there. But then we also have Venus, sextiling Uranus, conjunct Neptune, and conjunct Saturn. So again, big focus on your core identity. Who are you at heart? And how are you relating to other people in your creativity, or just taking that break when you need it? You really could include Mercury because we do have Mercury. If this is just a side thought, we do have that trine to Jupiter, and we do have that retrograde back into Aquarius. So if you wanted to include Mercury, there's a legitimate argument for it now that I think about it. Okay, anything else? Oh, and as like I said, you can see the transits really start on Tuesday, little cascade, a little breather on Thursday. Friday into Saturday and into Sunday is when things do pick up. So kind of slow and steady through the week, and then it's a lot of conjunctions. 3 major transits over the weekend are conjunctions, so it's a combination of energy. So it could be intense that way. There we go. Excuse me, it's been a long day. Still teaching, still doing my teaching thing. Okay, so let's jump in here. Oops, gotta close the doodle tool. So we do have that carryover, continuing or that ending transit for this week. I hate when I get all these pop-ups. You can't read anything. So we do have Saturn conjunct Neptune. Saturn, learning discipline, maturity. Neptune, learning to be present and in the moments. Neptune and Pisces, don't just do something, sit there. Learn to be in the moment. Forget the future. Live for be aware. You're aware of the future. You're aware of the potentials of the future. You're aware of what did happen in the past. But Neptune in Pisces calls you to be here now, to borrow the phrase from Ram Dass. So this, I say, is you learning to mature spiritually. I don't talk religion because that's personal to people, but I will say learning to mature spiritually. The shadow here, Saturn can fall into fear and become a control freak in different ways. And Neptune can just try to numb the pain or escape. I do call this like falling into, becoming a religious control freak, trying to impose your religious beliefs on others, or a denial of spirituality. Cynicism about spirituality, denial of spirituality, Gnosticism, atheism. It's life. And also on Sunday, we do have the moon entering Leo. So the moon, your emotional self, your soul is looking to learn how to express itself and be appreciated. That's the ideal. The shadow is you trying to play to the crowd or trying to play to the crowd or hide away. Either which one is pointless drama. I can give you plenty of example from my teenagers and middle school kids of pointless drama, just in today. But it's the shadow here is pointless, meaningless, worthless drama that does nothing but just turn people away from you. Monday, take a breath. Remember to exhale, repeat. I don't know why I have to put this remember to exhale thing in, but okay, that's my dry humor for the day. Tuesday, we begin the day with the full moon eclipse in Leo. And the only way you get an eclipse is the sun and the north node of the nodes of the moon. In this case, the north node of the moon conjunct, and opposite the moon conjunct the south node. Now, the sun conjunct the north node in Aquarius is focusing on your life's purpose, becoming more aware of it and making it authentic to you. So key one is understanding what your natal north node is. And then two, how do you make that authentic to who you are? And what is your version of it? And then every time I've looked at this when I was doing my notes, it came off as not a balance, but a reflection. Because you have the south node conjunct the moon. And anytime you're dealing with the south node, or I'm dealing with the south node, to me, it always highlights the shadow, because the south node are the unconscious assumptions about yourself that are holding you back. So what emotional drama are you using to hold yourself back? From what? Becoming your authentic self. That's to me what this full moon eclipse in Leo is making you, or a goal is to have you become more aware of. The shadow here is falling into the ego. It's falling into the false ego and the pointless drama that it stirs up. And that pulls you out of balance, throws your life out of whack. And the sun which rules Leo, by the way. So again, we're going to talk about the sun, the false ego overplaying this hand on its destiny and its purpose, thinking either it's achieved it or it can't do anything about it at all. I say the false ego, and that can be burning too bright or not shining at all. But falling into the false ego undermines your destiny and your purpose in life, and it gets thrown out of whack or out of balance with all this pointless, meaningless drama. All the problems of the past rear their ugly head and just ruin your future. And that's, oops, let me go back just a little bit previous. That starts at 4:42, and by the timing that I have on Prometheus, starts around 4:42, exact at 7:33, and leaves at 10:42. So I'll be able to see the exact as I'm driving to work if I'm lucky. Depends on the weather. They were spraying stuff in the sky. I saw the jet streams. Also on Tuesday, much later in the day, we have Venus in Pisces sextiling Uranus in Taurus. So Venus in Pisces, spiritual relationships, becoming more aware of your relationships and how you're conducting yourself in them. Also being inspired in your creativity. I'm going to go with just those two of that. And the sextile is creating an interest or a sense of excitement in what becoming more authentic and finding the peace and strength that comes from that. So this is you learning to work with others or finding your inspiration in the arts. And that can be the physical arts, it can be music, theater could be fall into here as well. But as you're learning those things and you're learning to find the inspiration and be present with them, how is that creating an interest in you becoming more authentic and settling into the peace and strength that comes from that? The shadow is Venus is slick, manipulative, lazy, deceptive, falling for, and I forgot to circle Pisces there, falling for an illusion. And how is that illusion feeding a false identity of yourself? That was Kit getting off of my lap, stretching. That was your cat commercial for the day. How is that how is that creating a sense like of nervousness? Like, are people seeing the false image that I'm presenting? Are they aware of it? And that instead of creating peace, that can be seen as laziness. It can also come out as the bull in the china shop. So it's really being false in your relationships undermines and creates a loss of individuality. And on Wednesday morning, the moon enters Virgo and looking for self-improvement. And how can you develop, I'm going to say, emotional intelligence and become more emotionally skilled? The shadow here is falling into unrealistic expectations because Virgo's shadow, for me personally, is perfectionism, unrealistic standards, unrealistic expectations. So the shadow is falling into those unrealistic expectations and the worry, feelings of frustrations that come with it. Also on Wednesday, we have the Sun in Aquarius trining Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. So the Sun in Aquarius, you're learning to become the authentic version of yourself. And I tell people when you're looking at the Sun in Aquarius, look at your natal Sun, read about that, and then what's your authentic version of that? Like my Sun is in Taurus. What does being a Taurus mean to me? And becoming that, focus on that, learning that. So, Sun in Aquarius, learning to be the authentic version of yourself, supports the opportunity in Gemini, Jupiter's opportunity in Gemini to learn and communicate. What are you learning about yourself? How are you taking these opportunities to learn? Are you taking the opportunities to share what you're learning as well? Let's see what else I have here. Yeah, focusing on individuality supports learning and communication. Are you taking those? Are you becoming aware of them? The shadow here is becoming the false version of yourself. And it's selling yourself out to the expectations of others, whether it's fitting into their expectations. I call this wearing the suit of other people's expectations. Lawyers are all supposed to dress a certain way. I was in two lawyer offices, use this as an example, two lawyers' offices a while ago, helping out a friend of mine. The one lawyer's office, everybody wore suits. Dress shirt, tie, suit, the whole 9 yards. We're in a completely different lawyer's office. Senior lawyer, I swear, he was wearing a flannel shirt and jeans. The office was much more low key. I was like, he's a good lawyer. I just listening to him talk. He's amazing. But it's just two different perspectives. One, the suit. This is the way lawyers are supposed to dress versus, hey, this is who I am. When I get in front of that judge, I'll look good. I'll look professional. But in my office, And the key thing here is, right, how are you communicating that authentic self? How are you learning about that authentic self? The shadow here falling into the false version, whether you're selling yourself out to fit into a group or acting out to get a reaction from people. And my favorite example is that person who grows out the mohawk. Everybody's like, you got a mohawk, big deal. Next day, it's fluorescent pink. They're going to do something. This person is doing something to get a reaction from people. And instead of supporting this is still supporting, but what's it supporting? A crisis in confidence. Feel like you're not sharing, your crisis in confidence in your ability to learn and communicate. You're doubting your ability to learn about who you are, or doubting your ability to communicate who you really are. So you just go for whatever appears to work. And also on Wednesday, we have Mercury retrograde entering Aquarius. So this is a bit of a revisit. Mercury, learning communication. What? Authenticity. Are you learning are you learning about your own interests, what interests you, what you're curious about? Are you able to communicate your interests to other people? Or the shadow? Do you sell out to fit in? Everybody else is studying whatever. I remember I was on the bus growing up. One girl was like, "Oh my God, Shock the Monkey is a popular song, and I don't like it, but I gotta like it if I want people to, I heard her saying like that's a perfect example here. Is so more or less. In a way, I appreciate her honesty. I mean, she was truthful, but she was still selling out. But are you learning about what interests you, and are you sharing those interests? Or are you selling out to fit in, or looking into things just to provoke a reaction from people? And you're not sharing them, you're either hiding away, or you're just talking about them incessantly and turning people off and away. Thursday, take a breath. Remember to exhale. Repeat. Friday, the conjunction pile up. Conjunction, junction. I remember that song when it came out on ABC on Saturday morning cartoons. Venus conjunct Neptune. Venus, again, relationships, creativity, taking a break even. Conjunct Neptune, spirituality, being present, being aware of the moment. How are other people helping you? How are your relationships helping you to learn to be in the moment, being present? How are other people helping you to discover and develop your artistic talents and interests? How are other people helping you to chill out and take a break when you need to? The shadow, Venus is slick and manipulative, trying to control people in their spirituality. And and also laziness. Venus can also be quite lazy. And oh, I know what's going on. Kid's going for water now. Going for the lazy way out on everything in your relationships, shallow, superficial, meaningless, even in the artwork. Instead of creating your own thing, using AI to create images, write music, whatever. It comes across as it's an illusion. You're living an illusion in your relationships and your creativity. And it creates a sense of illusion about the relationships, creates a sense of illusion and delusion about your creative abilities. Basically, you're lying to other people, lying to yourself about who you are in what you're doing. Friday, we have another conjunction. Sun will be conjunct Mercury retrograde. So this is a time for you to reflect on how are you communicating who you are? In what ways are you communicating that? How are you communicating that? Are you doing it in a truthful manner? And are you learning your own style? Everybody's different. I just wrote some questions here and I was like, is what you're learning helping you to become more true to yourself? Also, yeah. Take time to focus on your communication and learning. Are you being authentic and true to yourself with it? So there's some little bit of reflection questions. What are you learning? How are you communicating that? And is it true to you? The shadow here is that false ego, that false identity that's acting out or selling out and getting caught in these rigid mental structures. It can be that can lead to being defensive. Also, overthinking. My notes here say overthinking leads to underachieving. You know, overthink everything, and instead of doing nothing with it, you overthink every single problem and go nowhere fast, spinning your wheels on ice. Saturday, we have Venus conjuncting Saturn in Pisces. Venus, relationships, creativity. Saturn is learning maturity and self-discipline and skill. How are you becoming more skilled in your relationships? How is your relationship skills improving? I would dare say, well, that would be Moon. Emotional intelligence would be Moon, more or less. But yeah, conjuncting Saturn, becoming more skilled in your relationships ability and learning to be more present, and it can help you to mature and deepen your relationships through developing integrity and self-respect. And you do have Venus nicely sandwiched between Neptune and Saturn here. You could say theoretically maturing in your spiritual relationships. How are other people helping you to grow in your spiritual relationship, and mature and grow in your spirituality, or in your creativity and finding that inspiration? Sorry, a little dehydrated here. The shadow is falling into cynicism. The shadow of Saturn is cynicism and fear. And I've already talked about Venus being slick and manipulative, so using fear to try to control people. And in Pisces, being slick and manipulative can be seen as deceptive in an attempt to control others. So it's using deception to control people, trying to trick people into thinking that you created something when you really didn't, basically lying. And Sunday, we do have the moon entering Libra. Libra is about taking a break and taking a breath, learning to pause and gaining a sense of the paradox that we have in life, and letting situations be ambiguous as you explore them. They always say there's two sides to a coin. Well, actually, I would say three, because you have that really narrow side. And yes, I did see somebody flip a coin and watch it land on its side. We all stood there in shock. We didn't think it was possible. But it's learning to be open-minded and aware that there's more than two sides to a story. The shadow here is slipping into indecision and insecurity, and this can lead to poor choices and poor decisions. And this is where we're going to end the week, I think. Wait a minute. No, we got one more thing. Mercury in retrograde in Aquarius, Trine Jupiter retrograde in Gemini. Come on, Kit. Stop hitting me in the face with your tail. Okay, maybe not. So again, what are you learning? Is what you're learning authentic and true to you and true to your interests? And how is that supporting your ability to learn? So what you're learning, that's an interesting noise from one of my cats. Is what you're learning true and interest, and how is that supporting your ability to learn and communicate and share things? Is it, or is it undermining it? Instead of helping to support it, it can be undermining. So you're not learning what's interesting to you, and that's creating a crisis of confidence in your ability to learn and communicate. You're wondering why you're not going anywhere or developing, because what you're learning is boring. Yeah, what do I have here? They reflect on how authentic curiosity can support the opportunity to learn and see how developing healthy self-confidence in your abilities can lead to paradigm shifts. The more, the better you get learning, you see things from a deeper and higher level and you can explore more. The shadow here is getting stuck in these mental boxes, and that blinds you to wonder and that fuels a crisis of confidence, of shallow and superficial and often meaningless learning. And this is where we'll end the week. So do follow me on social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram. You're watching this on YouTube. I'm also on the digital soul space. I call it the troll-free zone on the internet, where to discuss and learn about all things spiritual. I mean, I do astrology, but there are also people who do crystals, tarot, oracle cards, a wide variety of oracle cards, a wide variety of spiritual traditions, herbalism. Oh gosh, what all is on there? What isn't down there? I mean, it's an incredible place. It's a troll-free zone. We got 4 great moderators that keep bullies and trolls off. It's a wonderful place to be. There's a free version and a paid version. You get a free month of the paid version, and then you got to make a decision, and pay a little bit or just settle for the free version, which gets you limited access to certain pages. So do take a look into that. And it's Digital Soul Space is hosted on the Mighty Networks, which has you controlling your data. These companies are making billions of dollars from it, and you don't get anything. Soul Space is DSS is on Mighty Networks. You control how your data is used, and if anyone can get access to it or how they can access it. I do have readings in packages, the quick 6, if you want to see how your chart changes from tropical to true sidereal. Your birth chart or natal chart, which is your birth contract. Understand, who did you come here to be? Karmic or past life reading. If you believe in past lives, you did have a past life, created some karma. It is repeating in this lifetime. Help you understand that pattern so you can heal it. Your chart ever points out a problem, it tells you how to fix it. If you're a one and done, this is a special challenge in how you overcome it. I do horoscopes, which can be any 1 year, any 12 months in a row, any 3 months in a row, or any 1 month. And that can be first of the month to the last, or new moon to new moon. And I do combine these in packages. So do like, follow, and share. If you go on my website, sign up for the newsletter. All I need is an email address, and once a week you get an email informing you of the weekly updates. You get all this information first, usually. So like, follow, share, sign up for the newsletter. And remember, in the visible sky, your life changes. Thank you very much. Have the best week possible.